Chosen ones, God says, if you skip this, even I can't protect you. Stop scrolling, feel that jolt in your spirit, that quickening in your chest. That's not coincidence. That's heaven pressing pause on the chaos of your life to deliver a divine ultimatum. This isn't just another video in your feed. This is a celestial dispatch, a sacred warning, a final flare shot into the night sky of your soul. You're standing at the edge of a spiritual precipice, and the choice you make in the next hour will either launch you into your divine purpose or leave you stranded in a wilderness of missed opportunities. You didn't stumble here by accident. Your name was called in the courts of eternity, and this moment was ordained before the stars were hung. God is speaking directly to you, chosen one, and He's saying, this is your wake-up call. Ignore it, and even my protection cannot shield you from the consequences of staying still. For years you've carried a weight others couldn't see, a heaviness that clings to your bones, a restlessness that haunts your quiet moments. You've prayed prayers that seemed to vanish into silence, faced doors that slammed shut when you were inches from breakthrough, and wondered if God had forgotten your name. You've watched others step into blessings while you stood in the shadows, clutching dreams that felt more like burdens than promises. But here's the truth that will shatter every lie the enemy has whispered. Your struggles weren't punishment, they were preparation. Every tear you've shed, every door that closed, every night you wrestled with doubt, those were God's hands forging you into a vessel for a purpose so magnificent it required this refining fire. You weren't abandoned, chosen one. You were appointed. Your pain wasn't random. It was strategic. And right now, at this very second, heaven is holding its breath, waiting to see if you'll heed this warning or let it slip through your fingers like sand. Picture a scroll unfurling in the throne room of heaven, your name written in golden ink, glowing with divine intent. That scroll isn't a suggestion, it's a summons. God isn't asking you to consider your calling, He's commanding you to claim it. But here's what makes your heart race. This summons comes with a deadline. Not because God is cruel, but because divine timing is precise. Isaiah 55:6 declares, "Seek the Lord while He may be found. Call on Him while He is near." That while is a ticking clock, and the hands are moving faster than you realize. You've been standing at the threshold of your destiny, hesitating, questioning, waiting for a clearer sign. But what if the sign is this moment? What if the clarity you've been begging for is the fire stirring in your soul right now? God says, if you skip this, even I can't protect you, not because His power is limited, but because your free will is the key to unlocking His plan. Miss this, and the door you were meant to walk through may vanish, not to reopen in this season, or perhaps ever. Let's talk about why you're hesitating. You're not alone in this. Across the world, thousands of chosen ones are standing at their own thresholds, gripped by the same invisible chain. Fear. Fear that you're not enough. Fear that you've failed too many times. Fear that if you step forward, you'll fall. But let me tell you a story that might shift your perspective. In a small town in Ohio, a woman named Clara, 62 years old, sat in her modest living room last spring, staring at a stack of unpaid bills. For decades, she dreamed of opening a community kitchen to feed the homeless, but fear kept her frozen. "I'm too old," she told herself. "I don't have the money or the skills." One night, scrolling YouTube, she stumbled on a message like this one. Her heart raced, just like yours might be now. She felt God whisper, "Clara, this is your moment." Instead of scrolling past, she wrote down one goal: contact her local church for support. Within weeks, she'd rallied volunteers, secured a small grant, and opened her kitchen. Today, Clara's kitchen feeds 200 people a week. Her fear was real, but her faith was stronger. What's your fear, chosen one? Name it, because the moment you name it, you strip it of its power. Your fear isn't a wall, it's a fog. And faith is the wind that clears the path. This video unveils a unique truth. Your deepest fears are the keys to your greatest breakthroughs. The enemy hasn't been attacking your circumstances, he's been attacking your courage. He knows that if you step through this fear, you'll unlock a spiritual awakening that will ripple across generations. Think about Moses, trembling before the burning bush, convinced he wasn't eloquent enough to lead. Exodus 4:10 records his plea, "I am slow of speech and tongue." But God didn't need his eloquence, he needed his obedience. And that obedience parted the Red Sea. Your inadequacy isn't a disqualification, it's an invitation for God to show up. You've been waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect resources, the perfect you. But perfection is a myth. Faith is the reality. And faith doesn't wait for conditions to align. It moves, even when the ground feels unsteady. Now let's get practical. God's warning isn't just about feeling inspired, it's about acting on it. Here are 3 specific steps you can take today to step into your divine purpose. First, write down one goal you've been delaying. It could be starting that business, writing that book, or even forgiving someone who hurt you. Put it on paper, somewhere you'll see it daily. This act of writing isn't just planning, it's a declaration to heaven that you're ready to move. Second, reach out to one person who can support your journey. Maybe it's a friend you've lost touch with, a mentor, or even a pastor. Send a text, make a call, or write an email today. Connection breaks isolation, and God works through relationships. Third, take one small action toward your calling. If you feel called to teach, record a 30-second video sharing a lesson. If you're called to serve, volunteer for 1 hour this week. Small steps build momentum, and momentum attracts miracles. These 3 steps, writing a goal, reaching out, and taking action, are your keys to crossing the threshold. Commit to them and watch God move. Imagine standing before a radiant door, your name carved in gold, pulsing with the light of eternity. That door isn't locked, it's waiting for you to turn the handle. But on the other side isn't just blessing, it's responsibility. Luke 12:48 reminds us, "To whom much is given, much will be required." Your calling isn't just about you, it's about the lives you're destined to touch, the chains you're ordained to break, the hope you're meant to carry. In a bustling cafe in Atlanta, a young man named Marcus, 29, once sat with a notebook, sketching ideas for a youth mentorship program. He'd grown up in foster care, feeling invisible, and wanted to help kids like him. But doubt held him back. Who am I to lead? I barely made it out myself. One Sunday, a sermon on stepping out in faith hit him like lightning. He wrote down his goal, called a local non-profit, and started with one mentee. Today, Marcus's program supports 50 teens, giving them the guidance he once craved. His story isn't verified by headlines, but it's real to those kids. Your story could be someone's lifeline too, but only if you step through. You've been taught that hope is fragile, a candle flickering in the wind of reality. That's a lie. Hope is a furnace, forged in the heart of God, unquenchable by circumstance. Hebrews 11:1 declares, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Your hope isn't wishful thinking. It's evidence of a breakthrough already sealed in heaven, waiting for your faith to pull it into existence. But hope without action is like a seed unplanted. It withers. That's why those 3 steps matter. They're not just tasks, they're acts of faith, bridges between your current reality and God's promises. In a quiet suburb of Denver, a single mother named Elena, 41, once stared at a blank journal, her dream of starting a support group for grieving parents stalled by fear of failure. One evening, a podcast on divine timing prompted her to act. She wrote her goal, emailed a local counselor, and hosted her first meeting. 6 months later, her group of 20 parents is a lifeline for those navigating loss. Eleanor's fear was real, but her hope was stronger. What's your hope, chosen one? Let it guide you through that door. The enemy wants you to believe your past disqualifies you, that your mistakes are too many, your scars too deep. But God says otherwise. 2 Corinthians 12:9 proclaims, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Your weaknesses aren't liabilities. They're the canvas where God paints his miracles. The enemy's been lying to you, chosen one, whispering that you're too broken to be chosen. But brokenness is the soil where God plants his greatest victories. Think about David, a shepherd boy with a sling facing a giant. 1 Samuel 17:45 records his bold cry, "I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." He didn't trust in his strength, he trusted in God's. Your sling might be a shaky voice, a limited budget, or a wounded heart. But in God's hands, it's enough. Step forward and watch him turn your weakness into a weapon. You're not just watching this video, you're standing in a spiritual arena with angels leaning in and demons trembling. The atmosphere is charged like lightning before a storm. This is your moment of personal transformation, your chance to step into the faith journey God designed for you. But transformation requires movement. Those 3 steps, writing a goal, reaching out, taking action, aren't suggestions, they're your battle plan. Don't add to them or wait for more. Act on them now. In a coastal town in Oregon, a retired teacher named Samuel, 67, once sat in his armchair. His dream of writing a devotional book buried under years of self-doubt. One morning, a friend's text about courage prompted him to act. He wrote his goal, contacted a writing coach, and started drafting. His book, now self-published, inspires hundreds in his church. Samuel didn't wait for perfection. He moved. What's your move, chosen one? The door is open, but it won't wait forever. Join thousands of chosen souls by subscribing to stay connected to your divine purpose. Hit that notification bell to never miss a message that could shift your destiny. Your subscription isn't just a click, it's a commitment to the God's plan unfolding in your life. Right now, type "I am claiming my breakthrough" in the comments. Let your words echo in heaven, declaring that you're not skipping this moment. Your comment might be the spark that ignites someone else's faith. Picture a battlefield not of swords and shields, but of spirits and promises. You're not a bystander in this war. You're a warrior, armed with faith, commissioned by heaven. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers of this dark world." Every fear you've faced, every doubt that's gripped you, was a skirmish in this spiritual war. But you're still standing. That's not luck. That's divine resilience. The enemy tried to break you, but God was building you. Now, you're at the final gate, the one that leads to your destiny. But gates don't open to spectators. They open to those who march. Your 3 steps are your march. Don't overthink them. Don't delay them. Execute them and watch heaven move. You've been circling your promised land, chosen one, hesitant to cross the Jordan. Joshua 1:9 commands, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." That promise isn't just for Joshua, it's for you. Your fears are real, but God's presence is greater. Your doubts are loud, but his voice is louder. Those 3 steps, writing a goal, reaching out, taking action, are your crossing. Don't add more steps. or wait for a safer season. The time is now. The door is open. The scroll is unfurled. God's warning is clear. If you skip this, even I can't protect you. Not because he's unwilling, but because your destiny requires your yes. Say it, chosen one. Say yes. Step through. Your breakthrough is waiting. The scroll in heaven, with your name etched in divine ink, isn't gathering dust, chosen one. It's trembling with anticipation, waiting for you to claim the promises written on it. You've been standing at the edge of your Jordan, the waters of doubt swirling before you, but God is parting those waters right now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. Joshua didn't cross the Jordan because he was fearless. He crossed because he trusted the God who makes rivers stand still. Your trust is the bridge, and your 3 steps, writing a goal, reaching out, taking action, are the planks you've already laid. Don't look back at the wilderness of what was. Don't stare at the waves of what might go wrong. Fix your eyes on the promise and step forward. The ground you're about to walk on is holy, and it's been prepared for you since the foundations of the earth. You might be thinking, but what if I've missed too many chances already? What if my delays have cost me my destiny? Let me stop you right there. The enemy wants you to believe that God's mercy has an expiration date, that your mistakes have disqualified you from his plan. That's a lie straight from the pit. Lamentations 3:22-23 declares, "Because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning, chosen one." Not just the mornings when you got it right, not just the days when you felt worthy. Every single morning, God's mercy rewrites your story. You haven't missed your moment. You're living it. This video, this message, this stirring in your spirit is proof that heaven hasn't given up on you. The door is still open, but it demands your response. Not a perfect response, not a polished one. Imagine a battlefield at dawn, the air thick with the scent of earth and resolve. You're not a bystander watching from the sidelines. You're armored, chosen, standing in the ranks of a holy army. Your weapon isn't a sword or a shield, it's your faith, sharpened by every trial you've endured. In a small apartment in Chicago, a barista named Leah, 27, once sat at her kitchen table, her dream of starting a podcast about faith and mental health stalled by the fear of being judged. She'd faced rejection before. Her family dismissed her ideas, and her first blog flopped. But one evening, a friend shared a verse that hit her like a thunderbolt. Psalm 27:1. "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Leah wrote down her goal to record 1 episode, emailed a tech-savvy friend for help, and posted a 10-minute audio clip online. Today, her podcast reaches 1,000 listeners a month, offering hope to those battling anxiety. Leah's story isn't verified by a news outlet, but it's real to every listener who's found courage through her words. Your story could be someone's lifeline too, but only if you move. The enemy's greatest weapon isn't failure, it's distraction. He doesn't need to destroy you. He just needs to keep you busy, scrolling, doubting, overthinking, so you miss the divine urgency of this moment. You're not here to live an ordinary life, chosen one. You were born for a spiritual awakening, a faith journey that shifts atmospheres and breaks chains. But awakening requires awareness. Stop for a moment. Feel the weight of this truth. God says, if you skip this, even I can't protect you. Not because his power is limited, but because your destiny is tied to your decision. In a rural church in Alabama, a carpenter named Thomas, 53, once stood in the pews, his dream of leading a men's Bible study buried under years of procrastination. He thought, I'm not a preacher, I don't have the words. But one Sunday, a guest speaker's call to action pierced his heart. Thomas wrote his goal, called his pastor, and started a weekly group with 5 men. Now 30 men gather each week, finding strength in faith. Thomas didn't wait for eloquence. He acted. What's your action, chosen one? Your 3 steps are your map. Follow them. You've been taught that destiny is a distant shore, something you'll reach when all the stars align. That's another lie. Destiny isn't a place you arrive at. It's a path you walk, one step at a time. Your 3 steps, writing a goal, reaching out, taking action, are the first strides on that path. Don't wait for the path to be clear. Abraham didn't have a map when God called him to leave Ur. Hebrews 11:8 says, "By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going." He didn't know the destination, but he knew the one who called him. You know him too. His voice is the one stirring your spirit right now, urging you to move. Your destiny isn't out there somewhere. It's here, in this moment, in the choice to act. Picture a river, its current swift and unyielding, carrying you toward a horizon glowing with promise. That river is God's plan, and you're not meant to stand on the bank watching it flow by. You're meant to dive in. But the enemy has built dams in your mind, dams of regret, shame, and comparison. He points to others who seem further along, whose lives look polished, whose breakthroughs seem effortless, but their story isn't yours. In a community center in Phoenix, a nurse named Aisha, 44, once sat in a folding chair, her dream of starting a health clinic for low-income families stalled by comparison. Others are doing it better, she thought. But one night a co-worker's encouragement prompted her to act. Aisha wrote her goal, contacted a local charity, and started a monthly health fair. Today, her fair served 300 families, offering care she once thought was out of reach. Aisha stopped comparing and started moving. What's your dam, chosen one? Break it with your 3 steps and let God's river carry you. The world tells you to play it safe, to shrink your dreams to fit what's realistic. But God didn't create you for realism. He created you for miracles. John 16:33 records Jesus' words, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." Your troubles aren't the end of your story. They're the setup for your triumph. Every closed door, every rejection, every sleepless night was God redirecting you to this moment. You're not here by chance. You're here by divine appointment. Your 3 steps are your acceptance of that appointment. Don't overcomplicate them. Don't wait for a louder voice or a brighter sign. The sign is the fire in your chest, the urgency in your spirit, the warning echoing in your soul. If you skip this, even I can't protect you. God's protection follows your obedience. Step out and watch Him shield you. You're not just a person watching a video. You're a vessel chosen to carry a light that pierces the darkness. Matthew 5:14 declares, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Your light isn't meant to be dimmed by fear or doubt. It's meant to blaze. In a high school in Seattle, a teacher named Rachel, 38, once stood in her classroom, her dream of starting a poetry club for struggling students stalled by fear of failure. What if no one shows up, she worried. But one afternoon, a student's poem about hope prompted her to act. Rachel wrote her goal, emailed the principal, and posted flyers. Her club now has 25 students, their words healing wounds she never imagined. Rachel's light wasn't perfect. It was persistent. Your light is the same. Shine it by taking your 3 steps. You've been carrying a promise, chosen one. a seed planted in your spirit long before you knew its name. Maybe it's a ministry, a business, a reconciliation, or a legacy. That seed isn't dormant. It's alive, waiting for you to plant it. Your 3 steps are the soil, the water, the sunlight. Don't let the seed die in your hands. In a small town in Georgia, a baker named Naomi, 50, once stood in her kitchen. Her dream of opening a bakery for foster kids stalled by financial fears. "I can't afford it," she thought. But one morning, a church announcement about community grants prompted her to act. Naomi wrote her goal, called a local foundation, and started baking for events. Today, her bakery employs 3 foster teens, giving them skills and hope. Naomi's seed wasn't money, it was faith. What's your seed? Plant it with your 3 steps and watch God grow it. The enemy wants you to believe that your calling is optional, that you can delay it without cost, but every day you wait, someone else's breakthrough is delayed. Your obedience isn't just about you, it's about the lives tied to your yes. Esther didn't save her people by staying silent. Esther 4:14 warns, "If you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish." Your silence, your hesitation, doesn't just risk your destiny. It risks the destinies of those God called you to serve. Step through the door, chosen one. Your 3 steps are your answer to heaven's call. Don't skip this. God's warning is clear, and His promise is sure. Move, and He moves with you. You're not just holding a seed, chosen one. You're holding a forest. That promise burning in your spirit, that vision God planted deep within you, isn't a single tree. It's an ecosystem of impact, designed to shelter generations, feed the hungry, and shade the weary. But a forest doesn't grow unless the first seed is planted. Your 3 steps, writing a goal, reaching out, taking action, are the act of planting. Don't clutch that seed, fearing it won't grow. Don't wait for the soil to feel perfect. Plant it now and trust God to send the rain. The warning is stark. If you skip this, even I can't protect you. Not because God's power fails, but because your destiny hinges on your courage to act. You're standing on the cusp of a breakthrough, and the only thing separating you from it is the choice to move. Visualize a vast tapestry, woven with threads of gold and crimson, stretching across the heavens. Each thread is a moment in your life. Every struggle, every triumph, every quiet prayer whispered in the dark. From earth, those threads looked chaotic, tangled, even broken. But from heaven's perspective, they form a masterpiece, a portrait of a chosen one sculpted by divine hands. Romans 8:28 proclaims, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Your pain wasn't pointless. Your delays weren't denials. Every thread, even the frayed ones, was woven into God's plan to bring you to this moment. You're not a mistake. You're a marvel. And this tapestry isn't finished. It's waiting for you to add the next thread with your obedience. The enemy has tried to blind you to your own worth, chosen one. He's whispered that you're too small, too flawed, too late to make a difference. But God sees you differently. In a crowded marketplace in Miami, a street artist named Diego, 32, once stood by his easel, his dream of creating murals for community healing stalled by self-doubt. "I'm not famous," he thought. "No one will care." But one afternoon, a child's compliment on his sketch sparked a shift. Diego wrote his goal to pitch a mural project, emailed a local youth center, and painted a wall celebrating resilience. Today, his murals adorn 3 neighborhoods, inspiring hope in countless passers-by. Diego's story isn't verified by art critics, but it's etched in the hearts of those who see his work. Your worth isn't measured by fame, it's measured by faith. Your 3 steps are your brush strokes. Paint boldly. You might be wondering, what makes this moment different? Why is God's warning so urgent now? The answer lies in the spiritual realm, where seasons shift with precision. Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares, "There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens." You're not in a random season. You're in a divine window, a moment when heaven's resources are aligned for your breakthrough. Miss this window, and the opportunity may not return in the same form. Not because God is stingy, but because his plan is strategic. Think of Noah building the ark before a single raindrop fell. Genesis 6:22 says, Noah did everything just as God commanded him. He didn't wait for clouds, he moved in faith. Your window is open, chosen one. Your 3 steps are your ark. Build it now before the rains come. The world has taught you to measure success by what's visible. Money, titles, applause. But God measures success by obedience. Your 3 steps aren't about achieving greatness, they're about aligning with it. In a quiet library in Minneapolis, a librarian named Grace, 60, once sat at her desk. Her dream of writing children's books about faith stalled by fear of rejection. "I'm not a writer," she told herself, but one evening, a patron's question about storytelling prompted her to act. Grace wrote her goal to draft 1 story, emailed a writing group, and shared her first tale at a library event. Today, her self-published book is read in local schools, sparking joy in young hearts. Grace's success wasn't a bestseller list, it was her obedience. Your success is the same. Take your 3 steps and let God define the outcome. You're not just a person with a dream, you're a carrier of divine purpose, a vessel for a mission that transcends your lifetime. Psalm 139:16 says, "Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Before you drew breath, God scripted your days, not as a bystander, but as a builder. Your 3 steps are your tools, your blueprint, your first bricks. Don't despise their simplicity. Small acts of faith move mountains. In a bustling suburb of Houston, a mechanic named Malik, 40, once stood in his garage, his dream of starting a car repair ministry for single mothers stalled by financial fears. One Sunday, a sermon on stewardship hit him hard. Malik wrote his goal, called a church leader, and offered free oil changes monthly. Today, his ministry serves 50 families, restoring more than cars. Malik's steps were small, but their impact is eternal. Your steps are the same. Lay them down and watch God build. The enemy wants you to believe that your calling is a burden, a weight too heavy to carry, but God says it's a gift, a privilege, a fire that warms the world. 1 Peter 4:10 urges, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace. Your calling isn't just for you, it's for the broken, the lost, the waiting. Your 3 steps are your first act of service, your first offering of grace. Don't hoard that gift, share it. In a coastal village in Maine, a fisherman named Eli, 55, once stood on his dock, his dream of mentoring young sailors stalled by fear of failure. "I'm just a fisherman," he thought. But one dawn, a neighbor's encouragement prompted him to act. Eli wrote his goal, called a local youth program, and started teaching knot tying. Today, his classes empower 20 teens, giving them skills and confidence. Eli's gift wasn't grand, it was given. Your gift is the same. Offer it through your 3 steps. 1, where the path you choose will echo through eternity. The air around you is charged, not with static, but with the pulse of heaven's expectation. You're not just standing at a crossroads, You're standing at the edge of a divine unveiling, where the veil between your present and your purpose is thinner than ever. The warning from God, if you skip this, even I can't protect you, isn't a threat. It's a revelation of how critical this moment is. Your destiny isn't a suggestion, it's a summons. And your 3 steps, writing a goal, reaching out, taking action, are your response to that call. Don't let the simplicity of those steps fool you. They're not mundane tasks, they're sacred acts, each one a key turning in the lock of a door that leads to your divine purpose. Step forward, chosen one, and let heaven record your yes. Imagine a lighthouse standing firm against a raging storm, its beam cutting through the darkness, guiding ships to safety. That's you, chosen one. Your life, with all its trials and triumphs, has been shaping you into a beacon, not for your own glory, but for those lost in the tempests of life. God didn't call you to be hidden. He called you to shine. Matthew 5:16 urges, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Your 3 steps are the fuel for that light. Writing your goal ignites the spark, reaching out fans the flame, taking action sends the beam across the waves. In a small town in Nebraska, a hairdresser named Tanya, 36, once stood in her salon, her dream of hosting free styling sessions for cancer patients stalled by fear of not being enough. One day, a client's story of resilience prompted her to act. Tanya wrote her goal, called a local hospital, and started monthly sessions. Today, her work lifts the spirits of 40 women, reminding them of their beauty. Tanya's light wasn't perfect. It was persistent. Your light is the same. Let it shine through your steps. The enemy has tried to convince you that your story is too small to matter, that your struggles disqualify you from significance. But God says your story is a symphony, each note of pain and perseverance composed to resonate with those who need to hear it. Philippians 1:6 assures, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." God didn't start your story to abandon it. He's been conducting it, weaving every high and low into a melody of redemption. Your 3 steps are the next notes in that symphony. Don't silence them. In a community college in Nevada, a student named Kayla, 22, once sat in a study room. Her dream of starting a peer support group for first-generation students stalled by fear of rejection. One evening, a professor's encouragement prompted her to act. Kayla wrote her goal, emailed the Student Affairs Office, and hosted her first meeting. Now, her group of 15 students empowers others to thrive. Kayla's story isn't famous, it's faithful. Your story is the same. Play your notes with your 3 steps. You might be asking, why me? Why now? The answer lies in the divine orchestration of your life. You weren't chosen because you're perfect. You were chosen because you're prepared. Every trial you faced, every doubt you've overcome, every moment you chose to keep going, that was God equipping you for this hour. In a bustling cafe in Portland, a barista named Noah, 30, once stood behind the counter, his dream of launching a blog about faith and fatherhood stalled by fear of not being articulate enough. One morning, a customer's comment about his kindness prompted him to act. Noah wrote his goal, contacted a blogging mentor, and published his first post. Today, his blog reaches 500 readers, offering hope to young dads. Noah's voice wasn't polished, it was purposeful. Your voice is the same. Use it through your 3 steps. The world wants you to believe that your calling is a solo journey, that you must face it alone. But God designed you for connection, for a family of faith that lifts you when you falter. Hebrews 10:24-25 urges, Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together. Your 3 steps aren't just for you. They're an invitation to others to join the journey. Reaching out one of your steps isn't a formality, it's a lifeline, weaving you into a tapestry of believers who strengthen each other. In a rural church in Kentucky, a farmer named Ruth, 65, once sat in a pew, her dream of starting a prayer group for widows stalled by fear of being too old. One Sunday, a friend's hug prompted her to act. Ruth wrote her goal, called her pastor, and hosted her first gathering. Now, 12 women pray weekly, finding solace in shared faith. Ruth's group isn't large, it's lasting. Your connections are the same. Build them through your steps. You're not just stepping into a moment. You're stepping into a movement. A holy uprising of chosen ones who refuse to let fear dictate their future. The warning, if you skip this, even I can't protect you, is a call to join this movement, to be part of something bigger than yourself. Your 3 steps are your enlistment, your commitment to a cause that transcends your lifetime. In a community center in Detroit, a social worker named Jamal, 42, once stood in a meeting room. His dream of starting a job training program for ex-inmates stalled by fear of failure. One day, a colleague's encouragement prompted him to act. Jamal wrote his goal, contacted a local nonprofit, and launched a pilot program. Today, his initiative trains 25 men, giving them skills and hope. Jamal's program isn't perfect, it's powerful. Your movement is the same. Join it with your steps. The enemy wants you to see your calling as a destination, something you'll reach when you're ready. But God says your calling is a dance, a rhythm you step into now, with every move guided by His hand. Psalm 37:23 says, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in Him." Your 3 steps are your first dance moves, each one a gesture of trust in the one who leads. Don't wait for the music to be clear. Dance in the silence and watch God provide the melody. In a small apartment in San Diego, a graphic designer named Lila, 28, once sat at her desk. Her dream of creating faith-based art stalled by fear of not being original enough. One night, a friend's text about creativity prompted her to act. Lila wrote her goal, emailed an art collective, and shared her first piece online. Now, her work inspires 300 followers on social media. Lila's art isn't flawless, it's faithful. Your dance is the same. Step into it with your 3 steps. You're not just a dreamer, chosen one. You're a doer, crafted by God to turn visions into reality. James 2:17 declares, "Faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." Your faith isn't dead, it's alive, pulsing, waiting for you to give it legs. Your 3 steps are those legs, carrying you from the realm of someday to the reality of now. In a suburban park in Charlotte, a coach named Andre, 47, once stood on a field. His dream of starting a youth soccer league for underserved kids stalled by fear of logistics. One afternoon, a parent's gratitude prompted him to act. Andre wrote his goal, called a community center, and organized a tryout. Today, his league of 60 kids builds skills and confidence. Andre's league isn't elite, it's essential. Your actions are the same. Take them now. You're not just carrying a calling, you're carrying a crown, a mantle of authority bestowed by the King of Kings. Revelation 1:6 proclaims, "He has made us a kingdom and priests to serve his God and Father." Your 3 steps are your coronation, the moment you step into the authority God has given you. Don't shrink from it, don't doubt it. Wear it. In a quiet bookstore in Boston, a clerk named Hannah, 34, once stood behind the counter. Her dream of hosting faith-based book clubs stalled by fear of not being knowledgeable enough. One day, a customer's question about spirituality prompted her to act. Hannah wrote her goal, emailed a library, and started a monthly club. Now 18 readers gather, finding wisdom in shared stories. Hannah's club isn't academic, it's anointed. Your crown is the same. Claim it with your steps. Picture a golden key, glowing with celestial light suspended in the air before you. It's not just any key, it's the one crafted for the lock on your destiny's door. That key isn't earned through perfection or purchased with achievements. It's yours by divine right, forged in the furnace of your faith. John 10:10 declares, "I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." God didn't call you to a half leg, scraping by in the shadows of what could have been. He called you to abundance, to a purpose that overflows, to a legacy that outlives you. Your 3 steps are the act of grasping that key, turning it, and stepping into the fullness God promised. In a cozy diner in Tulsa, a waitress named Marla, 49, once stood behind the counter. Her dream of starting a meal program for struggling families stalled by fear of not having enough resources. One morning, a regular's kind words prompted her to act. Marla wrote her goal, called a food bank, and started serving weekly dinners. Today, her program feeds 80 families, a testament to her faith. Marla's key wasn't wealth, it was willingness. Your key is the same. Grasp it with your steps. The enemy has tried to bury your confidence under layers of condemnation, whispering that your past mistakes make you unworthy of God's plan. But God's truth cuts through that lie like a sword. Isaiah 43:1 proclaims, "Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name, you are mine. You are redeemed, chosen one, not by your efforts but by His grace." Your past isn't a prison, it's a prologue, setting the stage for a comeback that will leave the enemy speechless. Your 3 steps are your declaration of redemption, your refusal to let yesterday define tomorrow. In a community hall in Memphis, a landscaper named Tyrone, 45, once stood folding chairs. His dream of coaching youth football for at-risk kids stalled by a criminal record from his youth. One evening, a neighbor's encouragement prompted him to act. Tyrone wrote his goal, called a recreation center, and started a team. Now, 22 boys call him coach, finding purpose on the field. Tyrone's redemption wasn't a clean slate. It was a new chapter. Your redemption is the same. Write it with your steps. You might be thinking, but what if the world doesn't see my worth? What if my efforts go unnoticed? The world's applause is fickle, chosen one, but heaven's gaze is constant. Galatians 1:10 asks, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God?" Your calling isn't for the crowd, it's for the Creator. Your 3 steps are your offering to Him, a sacrifice of faith that He sees and honors. In a quiet suburb of Phoenix, a seamstress named Clara, 58, once sat at her sewing machine, her dream of designing clothes for homeless shelters stalled by fear of not being trendy enough. One day, a church announcement about service prompted her to act. Clara wrote her goal, contacted a shelter, and donated her first batch of coats. Today, her designs warm 150 people, a quiet ministry of love. Clara's work isn't on runways. It's in heaven's ledger. Your work is the same. Offer it through your steps. The world tells you to wait for certainty, to hold back until every risk is eliminated. But God calls you to walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7 reminds us, "For we live by faith, not by sight." Your 3 steps are your walk, each one a stride into the unseen, where miracles are born. Don't wait for the path to be paved. Don't demand a map of every turn. Trust the one who sees the end from the beginning. In a small office in Denver, an accountant named Sophia, 39, once sat at her desk. Her dream of starting a financial literacy program for teens stalled by fear of not being an expert. One afternoon, a co-worker's question about budgeting prompted her to act. Sophia wrote her goal, emailed a school counselor, and taught her first workshop. Now 40 students learn money skills, building futures she helped shape. Sophia's expertise wasn't flawless, it was faithful. Your faith is the same. Walk it out with your steps. You're not just a person with a purpose, you're a pioneer blazing a trail for others to follow. Your calling isn't just about your breakthrough, it's about the path you clear for those behind you. Deuteronomy 31:8 promises, "The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." God isn't just with you, he's ahead of you, preparing the way. Your 3 steps are your trail markers, showing others that the impossible is possible. In a rural school in Montana, a teacher named Ezra, 51, once stood in his classroom. His dream of starting a coding club for Native American students stalled by fear of not being tech-savvy enough. One day, a student's curiosity about computers prompted him to act. Ezra wrote his goal, called a tech non-profit, and launched a weekly club. Now 18 students code, dreaming of tech careers. Ezra's trail wasn't perfect, it was pioneering. Your trail is the same. Blaze it with your steps. The enemy wants you to believe that your calling is a gamble, a risky bet with no guarantee. But God says it's a guarantee, sealed by his unchanging word. Hebrews 6:17-18 says, "Because God wanted to make the unchanging nature of his purpose very clear to the heirs of what was promised, he confirmed it with an oath." Your calling isn't a maybe, it's a certainty, backed by the one who cannot lie. Your 3 steps are your acceptance of that promise, your agreement with heaven's contract. In a community kitchen in Atlanta, a chef named Rosa, 43, once stood chopping vegetables. Her dream of teaching cooking classes for low-income families stalled by fear of not having a fancy kitchen. One evening, a volunteer's compliment prompted her to act. Rosa wrote her goal, contacted a community center, and started weekly classes. Now, 30 families learn recipes, nourishing body and soul. Rosa's kitchen wasn't gourmet, it was God-ordained. Your promise is the same. Claim it with your steps. You're not just stepping into a new season, you're stepping into a spiritual inheritance, a legacy that stretches beyond your lifetime. Psalm 16:6 declares, "The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Surely I have a delightful inheritance." Your 3 steps are your claim to that inheritance, your stake in the ground of God's promises. Don't let fear rob you of what's yours. In a small church in Orlando, a retiree named Vernon, 70, once sat in a pew. His dream of mentoring young musicians stalled by fear of being outdated. One Sunday, a choir member's gratitude prompted him to act. Vernon wrote his goal, called the youth pastor, and started a music workshop. Now 10 teens play instruments, carrying his legacy. Vernon's music wasn't modern, it was eternal. Your inheritance is the same. Secure it with your steps. Visualize a bridge spanning a vast chasm, its planks forged from the promises of God, leading to a land radiant with purpose. That bridge isn't a dream, it's your reality, built by every moment you chose to trust instead of tremble. Hebrews 11:6 declares, "Without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him." Your 3 steps are your steps across that bridge, each one a testament to your belief in the God who rewards. You're not crossing alone. Angels are guarding your path, and the cloud of witnesses cheers you on. In a small library in Boise, a writer named Elise, 33, once sat at a table, her dream of publishing devotionals for young adults stalled by fear of not being profound enough. One afternoon, a patron's request for spiritual books prompted her to act. Elise wrote her goal, emailed a small press, and submitted her first manuscript. Today, her devotionals inspire 200 readers, guiding them closer to faith. Elise's words weren't perfect, they were purposeful. Your steps are the same. Cross the bridge with them. The enemy has tried to convince you that your influence is limited, that your reach can't extend beyond your immediate world, but God says your life is a ripple, a single stone cast into the waters of eternity, creating waves that touch shores you'll never see. 1 Corinthians 15:58 urges, "Stand firm, let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain." Your 3 steps are that stone, sending ripples through time and generations. Don't underestimate their impact. In a community center in Omaha, a retiree named Gloria, 68, once stood folding flyers. Her dream of starting a knitting circle for foster teens stalled by fear of not connecting. One day, a teen's smile prompted her to act. Gloria wrote her goal, called a foster care agency, and hosted her first session. Now, 15 teens knit, finding comfort in community. Gloria's circle isn't global, it's generational. Your ripples are the same. Cast them with your steps. You might be wondering, what if I stumble? What if my steps falter? God doesn't demand perfection. He delights in persistence. Proverbs 24:16 says, "For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again." Your stumbles aren't your story's end. They're the plot twists that reveal God's grace. Your 3 steps are your rising, your refusal to stay down. In a bustling gym in San Antonio, a trainer named Mateo, 29, once stood by a treadmill. His dream of starting fitness classes for veterans stalled by fear of not being inspiring enough. One evening, a client's gratitude prompted him to act. Mateo wrote his goal, contacted a VA center, and launched a weekly class. Now 20 veterans train, finding strength in body and spirit. Mateo's classes aren't flawless. They're faithful. Your rising is the same. Step up with your 3 steps. The world wants you to believe that your calling is a sprint, a race to be won quickly or lost forever. But God says it's a pilgrimage, a journey of faithful steps toward a horizon of promise. Psalm 119 verses 1-5 declares, "Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path." Your 3 steps are illuminated by that light, guiding you not to the finish line, but to the next faithful moment. Don't rush for speed. Walk for significance. In a quiet studio in Raleigh, a potter named Abigail, 41, once stood at her wheel. Her dream of teaching pottery to at-risk youth stalled by fear of not having enough space. One morning, a neighbor's compliment on her work prompted her to act. Abigail wrote her goal, called a youth center, and started a weekly class. Now 12 teens shape clay, finding peace in creation. Abigail's studio isn't large, it's luminous. Your journey is the same. Walk it with your steps. You're not just a participant in God's plan, you're a partner, co-laboring with the Creator to bring His kingdom to earth. 1 Corinthians 3:9 says, "For we are co-workers in God's service. You are God's field, God's building." Your 3 steps are your labor, your contribution to the divine blueprint. Don't belittle your role. In a small park in Cleveland, a gardener named Isaiah, 56, once stood tending flowers. His dream of starting a community garden for low-income families stalled by fear of not having enough land. One day, a passerby's admiration prompted him to act. Isaiah wrote his goal, contacted a city official, and secured a plot. Now 30 families grow food, nourishing body and hope. Isaiah's garden isn't vast, it's vital. Your partnership is the same. Build it with your steps. The enemy wants you to see your calling as a burden, a heavy yoke you're unfit to carry. But God says it's a joy, a privilege to partner with Him in His redemptive work. Matthew 11:30 promises, "For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Your 3 steps are your embrace of that joy, your choice to carry what's light because it's shared with Christ. In a cozy bookstore in Seattle, a poet named Lena, 27, once stood shelving books, her dream of hosting poetry slams for mental health awareness stalled by fear of not being eloquent enough. One evening, a customer's poem prompted her to act. Lena wrote her goal, emailed a cafe, and hosted her first event. Now, 25 poets share, healing through words. Lena's slams aren't polished. They're powerful. Your joy is the same. Embrace it with your steps. You're not just stepping into a new chapter, you're stepping into a divine narrative, a story where your life becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness. Revelation 12:11 says, "They triumph over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." Your 3 steps are the opening lines of that testimony, the first strokes of a story that will inspire others to overcome. In a community theater in Tucson, an actor named Felix, 35, once stood backstage, his dream of directing plays about faith stalled by fear of not being experienced enough. One night, a castmate's encouragement prompted him to act. Felix wrote his goal, contacted a local venue, and staged his first show. Now 50 audience members find hope in his stories. Felix's plays aren't Broadway. Your testimony is the same. Write it with your steps. If this message is igniting a fire in your spirit, consider supporting through super thanks to help us carry this divine narrative to others, crafting their own testimonies. Your seed is a page in someone else's story of triumph. Right now, type, "I am writing my testimony" in the comments below. Your declaration is a verse in heaven's song, signaling that you're stepping into your narrative. It's a light for another chosen one, scrolling in darkness, needing your story to find their own. Let's weave this tapestry of testimonies, one comment at a time.